Hello and welcome to EV Review Ireland. My name is Derek Reilly. Today we're looking at the e-Vito. You might be wondering, I've already done this review, Derek. This is the tourer version, which means it's got the passenger seats inside of it. It can take a driver and 8 passengers. So let's get started. So very much like the Vito review, and I'll stick that up on the screen if you're interested in the commercial side of electric vans and electric vehicles. The front of this, you wouldn't know that's any different to the regular Vito or e-Vito, sorry, the Vito or the Vito Tourer. LED lights, but you will notice that the charging port isn't in the front anymore. It is down over here, and you have AC and DC, and we'll talk about some of the figures on that. But otherwise, nice fog lights down here at the front. This one's in white. I've seen them in silver and they look really well with some privacy glass. And it's got the tow hitch over here on this side, hopefully that you won't need it. But otherwise, very similar front, and you'll get that theme across that e-Vito range, and especially the Tourer one. People won't know that unless they know. Let's have a look down along the side. Moving down along the side, you'll start to see the e-blue electric with the electric blue on it badging, so you will notice that. These are Continentals, and they are 245, 55, 17-inch alloys with disc brakes on that. Good big wing mirrors, double doors on either side. Differences start to become apparent then between the e-Vito Tourer and the EQV, which is the more premium passenger only version, where this is the commercial van that they've put seats into. Manual doors, but good big entrance in it, and everything is carpeted and has rails in it as well, so you can remove them. What you have here is a bench seat of 2 and then a separate seat of 1, so there's lots of different configurations. You can move them up, you can move them down, but we talk about the inside in a minute. Good big long wheelbase, and then at the back then you've got that barn door. So let's have a quick look around at the back. But otherwise you could have this branded, you could have this with privacy glass. Overall, just a really good Vito van, except it's the e-Vito and it's the Tourer version. Let's have a look at the back. Down along the back then, again, similar to a regular Vito, you've got that high level brake light. You've got some more badging, so it is the blue E, so you know, but without that, it's just a regular Tourer. You'll see a lot of these in hotels, shuttle buses, taxis, larger families. This one has the barn door. And for even with the 3 rows of seats, sorry, the main front row and then the 2 rear rows, there's still a good space in the back of this, like. Very impressed with it. Let's have a look on the inside. We'll go through each of the rows and access how you get in and out. But closing this down is a handle up here. With the EQV, more money, but you will get that power tail lift in it as well. In the back, you will get access to the jack and easy access to get out the seats. But yeah, well spec'd, well finished. Let's have a look on the inside. What's it like inside the Mercedes e-Vito Tourer? Very similar to the Sprinter and the Vito that I've already covered, and some of the stuff about the EQA. On the door, like all of the vans that I've covered, the Vito and the e-Vito and e-Sprinter, to save energy, there's a driver's seat that's heated, 3 stages. You have your lock and unlock, and you have your electric wing mirrors and front electric windows. You've got a good sized door bin for your water bottle. The 2 cup holders that are on the top of the dash are a small bit small for the likes of this. They're more for coffee cups, and you've got a decent sized door pocket. Seats are manually adjusted, and you've got lots of different movement on it, lots of different positioning, and you have that armrest here as well. Down front of my knee, you have light control, you have the handbrake release, and if you remember from the Vito, it's a foot pedal, and then it's a pull handle release, so you can hear it clunking. You can hear it there, and then to engage it, you push it down. Nice air vents on it. As I mentioned, you've got the 2 coffee cup holders, lots of document holders. Very similar dash, but just that small bit more premium versus the Vito, because obviously this is a passenger version. This has your speedometer on the left with your battery gauge. You have your infotainment or your digital display in the middle, and you can rotate as to whether you want that to be range, energy used, lots of different features. And then you have your energy consumption, whether you're on charge for regen, economy, 50% power and boost, and then the actual power that you're taking out. The driving steering wheel is much nicer than the Vito, the commercial one, because it has the multi-function buttons on it. You have your regen paddles behind it. Left hand side you have your drive mode selector, reverse, neutral, drive and park. On the left right hand side you've got your indicators, you have your window wipers, and then you have your cruise control underneath that as well. It is a traditional key, very similar to the other vans. So you pop it in, you turn it to engage, and then to turn it on you hold it down. Nice infotainment system. You have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, you have navigation, you have radio, you have telephone, you have system, and you've got voice control. You have volume, you've got your selector wheel, you've got your dynamic button, your hazard lights, and then you've got your manual air conditioning unit here. Set the temperature you want, set the fan speed, and whether you want air control or not, and you can direct where you want it, recirculating, etc. You've got one 12 volt down the very bottom in the very middle, and remnants of a transmission tunnel there, and then you have glove box, which is actually not a bad size, and two full size. Now the passenger in the middle would probably be a bit, depending on their height, will be restricted with regards to the central dashboard, but otherwise it is good quality, good feel. You've got that comfort unit up top as well with regards to if you've got the SOS button, you've got your sunglass holder, you've got your lights, and you've got your two visors, both with mirrors and lights. You would be very comfortable driving this all day, every day. Lovely driving position. We're going to take out on the road after this, but let's have a seat in the back and see what it's like for passengers. So this is set for me. I'm 187 centimeters, 6'2" in old money, but let's have a look in the back. What's it like in the back of the Mercedes e-Vito? Middle row is actually not bad. Great space, like massive and good headroom. You've got your reading light, you've got your handles, but there is no chargers, there is no cup holders in this middle row. There are in the rear row. If you want to get in the back, then you just knock this down, and then there's a lever at the back here then as well, and it ships it forward, so there's plenty of space to get into the back of that rear row. In the either side of the rear row you've got cup holders, you've got pockets, cubby holes, and you've got 12 volt chargers as well. I just can't seem to find them. In the middle section and the rear section, the two seats, so it's broken up to a bench of two and a single seat, and they can be moved around independently. You'd be getting in on that side, two ISOFIX in the middle and two ISOFIX in the back as well. Let's have a spin in the back to see if I fit. As mentioned before, I'm 187 centimeters, 6'2", and there's so much row space in the middle row. I could fit in the back here, but you'd be putting the bench forward. Cup holders, as I mentioned, some speakers, great headroom, and if you do move that seat forward, you will be able to fit me into the back. Well, the whole thing moves forward, very good. Okay, yeah, let's take it out for a spin. What's it like driving the Mercedes e-Vito Tour? As those of you who know, who are subscribers to the channel and have watched a lot of my reviews, and I've got a nice section of electric van reviews, you know I like an electric van. And this is the marriage of both worlds. It has the convenience of carrying a number of passengers, and this can carry up to 9 people in total, the driver and 8. So it's 3 rows of 3 front, 3 middle, and 3 back, and the rear rows of seats are all on rails, so you can take out the rear, the last row of 3 if you wanted to have a lot of luggage room. So this shows the capability of this shape, this form factor of van, and doesn't have the downside of having to carry a huge payload. So obviously you're going to be carrying 8 passengers, but they're not going to add up to a lot, potentially. So what you have here then is you have a 100 kilowatt hour battery, 90 kilowatts usable, a WLTP of 350, and that's what I got when I got in this morning. I've had it for a couple of hours. I've done motorway, I've done urban, and it's not knocking anything out of it. Now, I watched a couple of reviews for people when they put on the air conditioning. It absolutely kills it. Now, it hasn't been cold enough for me to stick that on. For the driver, there is a heated seat. For some reason, this van has it preset that once you sit into the van, it comes on. It took me a little minute to figure that out. I was wondering why my seat was getting so warm. But So the form factor is the Vito form factor, and you can see my review on the channel, but it is for passengers, so perfect for, and I get asked this a lot, potentially large families, businesses that are looking to move people around. So whether it's a hotel shuttle bus, whether it's a taxi, this ticks a lot of boxes. Now, we don't have a price as of yet. It's just after coming into Ireland. So it's the e-Vito Tourer. This is not the same as the EQV, which is more luxurious. This has manual doors. The cabin wouldn't be as nicely fitted out. Still acceptable, don't get me wrong. And you would have seen that when I did the walk around and the sit in the cab and in the back. But the EQV, then you'd have automatic opening doors, a bit more stylish looking. But anyway, the e-Vito Tourer, the one I'm reviewing today, handling is nice. Again, as always, you know that there's a huge battery in it. You can feel it in it, but it has that low center of gravity. It has a nice driving position. The seats are good. The suspension is set up well for a heavy battery. Great visibility, front and side, but rear, not great because you've got the headrests of the second and the third row seats within that as well. So you can see elements of the back window, but we're going to be reliant on the wing mirrors. And then there's a nice reversing camera with a couple of different viewing modes on it as well. There is a dynamic driving mode. There is a couple of stages of regen, 3 stages. It sets off in the D, but you can go D- or D+. So D- is the heaviest regen level. It's clear and simple. This one is a step up on the e-Vito that I reviewed, the commercial one, because it has a nicer infotainment system. It has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and it has all the multifunction buttons on the steering wheel as well. Whereas if I remember correctly, the e-Vito, the commercial one, wasn't that it was utilitarian is the word I like to use for it. So the driving, it's lovely and smooth, it's lovely and quiet. Road noise is probably the only thing that you're going to hear, and that's not too bad. Overall, yeah, it's good. Yeah. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you were a family and this was within your budget, obviously we know it's not going to be on the inexpensive side, but I can see this being in a silver or a black with the tinted windows in the back, the privacy glass. Very nice for business or for a family. And you're future-proofing as well, because they're adult-sized seats. You know, as kids get older, or members of your family, you need access in and out because it's easy to get in and out of. Yeah. Overall, again, great to see them coming on the road, and great to see them with such a big battery size with this range, like 350, and even at 300 kilometers. That's a lot of range for carrying so many people around. The heating is the only thing that would worry me, but like any electric vehicle, you just have to manage that. And when you've got 8 people in the van, along with yourself, body heat will do a lot to heat up this cabin. So initially you might need to turn on the blower to get the ambient temperature up, but the internal temperature up. Overall, impressed. Good, solid Mercedes build quality, and I suppose the battery is the thing I'm most impressed with, and the size of that battery.
Before we wrap up today's review, just some stats and figures. It's an A2 wheelbase, vehicle length is just over 5.1 metres, seats 9, vehicle curb weight is 2823 kgs, and it has a gross vehicle weight, or GVWR, of 3,500 tonnes, and it has a payload of 677 kgs. The powertrain is a 150 kilowatt e-motor up to 300 newton meters of torque possible. It has a 30% hill start capability at the GVWR, and the WLTP test carried out, it was at 130 kilometers an hour. Battery installed is 90 kilowatt hours. The charging power time is AC, it's an 11 kilowatt, and it's 0 to 100% in 5 hours, and the DC is a 50 kilowatt. It's not the fastest, and then 20 to 100% takes 60 minutes, and the WLTP range is 350 kilometers claimed. I was getting around about 330. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's review. Make sure you've subscribed to the channel, hit the like button, share this video with somebody that might be looking for an electric vehicle with a lot more seats than the norm. And remember, if you think an EV is for you, leave it to me and I'll review. Thanks so much for watching.